Hey, we're talking about Peacemaker up next on Geek Out SA.
Do not attempt to adjust your YouTube video. We control the stream.
And welcome back to Geek Out SA. It's Friday and we're having fun.
Oh, and I didn't unmute my microphone the last time we tried this, so even if we were going live, I wouldn't have been talking. Okay, I'm on the struggle bus. I'm the producer today. Hi. I don't remember. Oh, now this is me. Okay, now this is Vince.
Maybe we should have switched that up. Maybe next time.
Maybe have you be the producer?
Yeah.
Well, so now that I'm the producer, I'm in the producer spot, and we have a green screen fabric behind the producer so that he can have a background like Vince, because it's just like curtains behind him. There's no collectibles. So, but we didn't make a green screen background for me. So I'm just in front of a green fabric. So, and then I'm trying to press buttons and talk to y'all and talk to Vince. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. So we've been doing a lot of shows lately. So the last 2 episodes have been about shows that we're watching. TV shows.
It's
or streaming shows.
Well, it's still COVID, and it was Delta, and then it's Omicron, and it's like there's some conventions sort of, but they're not exactly. They're those mall conventions that San Antonio has, and then I don't know, because I teach, so I don't want to go somewhere and pick up stuff and take it to a place with a lot of kids, because we have 6th graders and some of them are vaccinated and some of them aren't. So it has to be something pretty big, pretty special for us to want to kind of like go to a crowded space. Like if we're going to go to a movie theater, that's fine. We can sit in our seats. There's not a whole lot of people around us.
Right.
That's not a big deal. If we want to go out to dinner or whatever, but to go to something like a con where it's crowded space, which you would kind of think of as a geeky thing, I don't know that we're there yet. What do you think?
I don't know. I've been stuck just not doing stuff for so long that I don't know. I kind of welcome that stuff. I can't wait to get back to it. We have Steve watching. He says, "Hey guys, happy Friday."
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
I just don't know that there's a lot of that stuff still available yet. So when we've been doing this show for a long time, so we used to have guests on, and we used to talk about a lot of stuff, but now we'll schedule a guest or something, and then if they aren't feeling well, they need to do like a test. If we're not feeling well, we need to do like a COVID test, and then there were problems finding COVID tests, and then it's certain people have reluctancy to kind of come and do the interview and be on the show, because we are kind of in close proximity here on the show. Right. The space looks large, but it's not as large as you would think. It looks a lot
bigger than it actually is. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So a lot of things that we used to do for the show pre-COVID, we can't. And then a lot of the things we did pre-COVID are no longer available. So it's not something that we can report on because there's nothing to report on. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of limited a lot to shows, which has really stepped up. Like, I think they all know that we're at home. So shows or movies
mm-hmm.
or sometimes like toys and collecting, because we still do that. I mean, you can still like get stuff, on Amazon and stuff like that.
Right.
So you may see a lot more shows from us. I guess we'll see.
Well, this is the 3rd one from us that we've done recently, So Peacemaker, DC's Peacemaker on HBO Max. So I've been kind of liking a lot of the shows that they're having on HBO Max.
Well, I was really reluctant at first when you said, "Oh, let's watch Peacemaker," and I was like, I mean, John Cena, really? Like, I've seen him in a couple of things aside from like wrestling, and I know that wrestling is a form of acting, but I thought, really? And I know that Dwayne Johnson, who was The Rock, is like a really good actor, so I'm not sure.
I think John Cena has really good comedic timing. I think he always has had that.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure about that though. So when you were like, "Oh, let's watch it" and everything, and to be honest, I didn't. It didn't even click in my mind that he was from Suicide Squad.
Right.
Because he wasn't even in for very long, right?
Well, no, he was in it to the end.
Was he?
Yeah.
Why do I not remember him from that movie at all?
He didn't have. He had a. Well, because they had to bounce between so many characters.
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't necessarily the focus of the whole Suicide Squad.
So I'm like, okay, John Cena, and then I thought Peacemaker, it was going to be like The Boys.
But he was funny in the second.
I don't remember him
Suicide
at all
Squad.
being in it. Like, I didn't even know that Peacemaker was like his character from that movie that they were making a show out of.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I didn't know that this was going to be like getting the Boba Fett backstory, but for Peacemaker or whatever. Which I guess they can do this now because they're seeing Disney do this with the Star Wars characters.
Right.
They're like, well, we could do this with the DC characters, and we could get all of these characters from the Suicide Squad, which if they do it as well as they've done Peacemaker, I would totally watch that, right?
Right.
But when we first went into this, I thought, maybe not. It's probably going to be really awful. And the intro, this whole dance thing that they do.
You hated it. I loved the intro.
It's so cringe. It's so cringe. And I was like, this is going to be like a total like Leslie Nielsen meets The Boys. And it actually kind of is, but I kind of love it.
Yeah.
Right?
Because he's coming through and he's so not politically correct because he's been stuck in prison for so long.
Well, and because of his dad. I mean,
that too.
His dad is so horrific. And you're just like, they show stuff about his dad, and then that actor who plays his dad, who I'm like terrible with actors' names or whatever, he's such a good actor though. And I was like, really? Him? Like, he's in this? So he's horrible. He's like Grand Duke father or whatever of the Aryan Brotherhood. He wants...
Oh, he has a Grand Dragon super suit that we still haven't seen what it does yet. Adam says, yo,
Hey, Adam.
friends, DC needed Peacemaker. Yeah, the intro is cheesy, and Mike Stone says the intro is the best. I like it. Personally, I like it because
It's grown on me.
it's just something that it wasn't expected. And then you have an eagle in there.
Okay, I was gonna totally bring it up because Eagly makes it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Peacemaker is over the top ridiculous, okay? He's the Peacemaker. He has like the dove of peace on his suit, and yet he's like Mr. America as well. So he has a bald eagle as a pet that he has named Eagly.
Real original name.
That's what that little boy told him in the last episode, and I thought he was gonna break that boy in half. And he's so not politically correct. He's so socially awkward. He's so stupid.
Yeah.
Like, it's the perfect combination. And then he'll go through and just be the most ridiculous character you've ever seen ever. And then he'll sit down for like 10 minutes and play the most beautiful thing on the piano. And you're like,
At 3, and he's like at spots, he's like crying. Robert Patrick from Terminator 2. Yes, it's
yes.
Robert Patrick.
Okay,
from
that's his
Terminator
name. Oh
2.
my God, I love him so much. He's been
Yeah.
in so many things and he's so good. And then one of the other things I like is, so we get the girl from Orange is the New Black, again, another actress who I don't know their name, but I love her. So we get the girl from Orange is the New Black. Mm-hmm. Then we find out that she's the evil lady who put the Suicide Squad together. She's her daughter, and she's a plant in this team. But then it's like, but she kind of wants to be friends with Peacemaker because he kind of is that derpy, like, been abused by his dad, like, doing all the wrong things for kind of the right reasons kind of guy, right?
Yeah.
And so...
Or doing all the right things for the right reasons?
I don't know. He messes up so much stuff. It's hard to tell if he's doing the right things or the wrong things.
Like, one of my favorite parts in there, it's in the beginning, is it's so ridiculous, the relationship he has with Eagly. The eagle hugs him.
The eagle hugs him.
He comes over, he's coming, oh...
It's
I
my
was like,
favorite.
what? Because it was like, I wasn't expecting that.
It's gonna make me cry. This show cracks me up. I like don't want to crack up, but it's hilarious. It's ridiculous. And then he's got this like sidekick friend who he's really mean to.
Oh, Vigilante. Yeah.
Vigilante. And this kid like adores him. Does he kind of give you kick-ass kind of vibe?
Yes.
Okay, good.
He does.
I was like,
he does.
So Vigilante is his best friend in Vigilante's
but even then,
mind.
he's kind of stupid too.
He's super stupid when he tapes the glass to his back. I'm sorry, I don't want to spoil too much of it. I've got to stop crying. It makes me cry. It's so funny. Like, it's so funny. Y'all have to watch it. It's hilarious how ridiculous it is. So Vigilante is Peacemaker's best friend in Vigilante's mind. So he tells Peacemaker like all the time that they're best friends or whatever, and Peacemaker's always mean to him. He's always like putting him down and putting him in his place and telling him how stupid he is, and yet this kid like kicks butt. Like, he is hardcore. He looks like such a nerd. He's so unassuming, and then he just gets in there and he kicks butt.
Yeah, Angel says he's like a human Deadpool.
Kind of, yeah. I don't know. He just so much reminds me of Kick-Ass. Like, that's just, like, nerdy guy that, like, learned somewhere, somehow, how to kick ass. And then just goes in there and does it.
Mike Stone says definitely a different Vigilante from the comic books. I haven't really read much into Vigilante or Peacemaker. But I'm thinking they're kind of like an anti-hero.
I would guess so. Again, me either. Like I said, I didn't even know these were actual characters. I thought somebody had like recently made them up, so I didn't know that they were even comic book characters that they had then, reinvented on screen. So I'll have to go see kind of what some of their storyline is actually like. So I'd be interested to see what Vigilante is like in the comics and what his storyline is like. I like this iteration of him, but it's the only iteration I've ever seen, so I don't know that I would like him better one way or the other. But I love that Peacemaker has just kind of starting to accept the fact that Vigilante is his like right-hand man, right? Yeah. He's like, okay, you're a stupid idiot and I hate you and like, I'm a really cool loner.
Like, watching the second Suicide Squad, I really started to hate was Amanda Waller.
Oh, yes. She's terrible.
I hate her even more in Peacemaker. I'm like, what? So, no, I wasn't, I hate that character.
But, I mean, I think that's the point, though.
Yeah, that is the point.
Yeah, you're supposed to hate her. I feel like I need to go back and maybe watch the movies again and kind of get myself straight.
See, the only thing about that is it's two different movies. It's not necessarily... Yeah. Because it's not necessarily a continuation of the second one, of the first one. It's kind of like its own movie.
Yeah. And then in the second movie, which is what this is like kind of streaming off of, right? Isn't there the Weasel character? Yeah. Like, you think he's dead, but then he's not. So I'm totally waiting for the Weasel to like show up in the show. Like, the Weasel's got to show up in the show at some point, right?
And does Nathan Fillion's character show up in the show because he's supposed to be alive too.
I mean, I would think, like I said, I think they're going to try to do what Disney Plus has done with the Star Wars franchise, and they're going to try to give us these shows.
If they were smart, they would do that.
I agree, because I think that we can take it better in these bite-sized bits, especially with, like, you know, generations nowadays, like our sons and stuff. Their generations do much better with these little bite-sized things, which is weird because they can sit down and binge like a whole show,
right?
But they don't want to watch a movie, so that's odd. And then I like in this show that, yes, there's like a lot of comedy and there's a lot of action, but there's also like that intrigue, that spy component, like what's gonna happen next. I think this might be happening. Oh no, wait, that's gonna happen. And they give you enough time to kind of realize what's gonna probably happen.
Yeah.
Because there's an alien race. We don't want to give away too much, but there's an alien race that they're supposed to be fighting. So they fight them, and then they get one of the aliens. Well, Peacemaker gets it. And so we all know that that's a bad idea. But he thinks keeping it in a jar in his trailer home or whatever it is a good idea. So in this newest episode, we've just found out it was not a good idea. So, and then Waller's daughter makes everything kind of worse.
Right.
But they show us enough of her having an emotional dilemma about that, that I feel like we're gonna see her become more on Peacemaker's side.
Right.
I think she's gonna have to turn her back on her mom, and she's gonna have to choose Peacemaker, because I think she's gonna realize that her mom is feeding her lies. Right? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they're setting us up to really hate Amanda Waller. Really, there's no like saving her. Like she's not good, and she's like doing all the wrong things for the wrong reasons. So no, I can't wait till we kind of like get to the point. Do they end up fighting her when it comes down to it?
I don't think so, because I think she's going to be there behind the scenes always. She's going to be one of those characters that we have behind the scenes, always kind of like pulling the strings.
Right.
And she thinks she's doing the right thing. She's one of those that's like, I think I'm doing the right thing for the American people, but I've decided on my own what the right thing is, and I'm not listening to anybody else. So almost like I want to be a dictator kind of thing.
Right.
So she's one of those kind of characters. So we'll see. We'll see. One of the things I like about Peacemaker too, that I was truly not expecting because of the campiness, because it's kind of cringy, is we are seeing that arc for Peacemaker where he's changing, right? So he's got a team of people that he's like part of, right? Civilians. Amanda Waller's daughter is one. The blonde girl, I don't know what her name is.
I love his interactions with Diebeard.
So Diebeard, that's what I was going to talk about. So there's a guy on the team. He's kind of the computer guy, right? Because all teams need, all like spy teams or whatever need the computer guy. So he's kind of like the computer guy, and I don't even know what his real name is anymore at this point, because Peacemaker calls him Diebeard. And he's just really mean to him all the time. He's like dogging him, to the point where you start to feel uncomfortable. You're like, this has got to end soon. Like,
yeah,
he's a grown man. He shouldn't be treating another person, much less a supposed coworker, this way. Like, and I think that's one of the things about this show, is there's certain like human interaction, community type things that we don't do as people, because you don't do that, right? When you're part of a community, when you're part of coworkers, when you're on a team together, you don't act a certain way, right?
Right.
And so they've thought of every way you wouldn't act towards another human being, and they've shoved it all in this show, right?
Yeah. They definitely did that.
So Peacemaker's totally horrible, but then he has that moment, right? Because we're having this comic book superhero non-hero moment, whatever you want to call it, that tropey moment where they kind of realize stuff. And so he starts to kind of realize that, hey, you know, my dad was really terrible to me. He like put me down all this time. He kind of turned me into this monster that I kind of was before, who I kind of don't want to be anymore. And so, and then Diebeard does a couple of things that are like not techie, that are kind of kick butt, where he kind of lucks into them, but they turn out really cool. So then Peacemaker's like, oh, well, maybe he could be like a viable part of the team. So he kind of grows in that relationship and kind of, you know, high-fiving and like, okay, you know, we're kind of getting this camaraderie built or whatever. And he's doing that with all the players in the team. He's kind of growing this camaraderie with all of them, even though he's still kind of crass and
right.
he doesn't understand the social norms. And
but he starts learning and picking it up. So I think I think he's starting to learn a little more about how he should be. But I'm sure there's going to be a big learning curve, and he's going to say a lot of things that he probably shouldn't.
And I think that's part of who he is and what we're supposed to see from him, right? Is
I see him trying to really establish how he's not like his father, that how he's not racist like his father, because his father is very racist, extremely racist.
Like some of the lines he has in the show make you feel uncomfortable.
Oh yeah,
like you're like
big time.
Oh, dang! Did he really say that? I'm like, no. It's awkward to watch. Sometimes I feel bad. Like I'm
Economos is Diebeard. That's his name. Economos.
Oh. Excuse me. Sorry. So, and even in this last episode, doesn't Peacemaker say that he, like something about he wants to be better? Like he kind of thought about it when he was in prison, and he wants to do better. He wants to be better. So he's kind of at this point you've watched him and you know that's kind of where he's going, but now he's kind of voiced it out loud to himself and some of the people around him. So we're looking for some kind of accountability for that.
Right.
And then they have a really good kind of, I guess, villain?
Yeah, Angel says those lines make me cringe. Yes, they do.
Oh, they're rough.
Yeah.
The tall, lanky sheriff guy, he was in the zombie show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Real creepy. What was the name of that zombie show? Do you remember?
Was it Z Nation?
I think it was Z Nation.
Yeah.
So there's again, I don't know people's names. I'm sorry. Okay? These are just characters in a show to me. So there's this tall, lanky sheriff guy, okay, who he's kind of supposed to be part of the team and helping, but then he's kind of psychotic. And he's kind of not part of the team. And then he does something to like help the team, but then something happens to him. So I don't know where they're going to go with him. Because he's another one who plays really creepy characters, creepy villains. So on Z Nation, if you've ever seen Z Nation, this actor was the deaf guy who is the psychopath.
Right.
Who goes around like killing people. He was creepy on that show. Super creepy.
Really good though.
Really good. Really good. Creeps you out. So he's giving me that vibe. Like a little less at first. He's kind of giving you like awkward sheriff that's like a Terminator maybe. Mm-hmm. And then he goes into creepy psycho guy. And then he goes back into awkward Terminator sheriff guy. So yeah. I'm wondering what we're going to do with that. And then who's that other guy that you like? With the tongue. What?
Oh.
Do it? Yeah.
What
Van
that
Wilder,
movie
is
called?
that it?
No,
No,
he's
it's
not
not
from
Van
Van Wilder. He was from Dead Man on Campus or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. He's a goofy.
He's been on a bunch of
He's
stuff.
been on a bunch of stuff, and he's usually a goofy goober, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's kind of a goofy goober on this, but
Yeah.
kind of like less of a goofy goober.
More of a kind of clueless.
Like totally clueless. Yeah. Yeah. So, he's one of the cops. So obviously there are cops involved. I don't want to tell. It's so weird to like try to explain these things and not like spoil it all for y'all. Let's just say there's a lot of good acting in it, which I don't know any of the actors' names, but whatever. There's a lot of good acting in it. There's a lot of that good back and forth comedic timing. I'm really surprised that John Cena has such good comedic timing. Sorry, the dog tickled my nose.
Yeah, I can't. Really good. Really good.
And I've seen him in some other movies, and I know he's funny, but this is like a different level of funny.
Mm-hmm.
This is like, I don't know, people have been watching.
Munro is the guy.
What's his name?
Lachlan Munro.
I don't know. He's
That's
some funny guy. That's that guy.
That guy.
He's a funny guy. I don't know. I think they just did a really good balance of really funny moments, really awkward, painful moments.
They have a lot of big archetypes in the show, which kind of like, it gave me the vibe of playing our role-playing game. It really gave me the vibe of playing the organization.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you ever wanted to know what it was like to play our game, watch
Peacemaker.
Watch Peacemaker.
And then you know that's what it's like to play our game. But I like that they went over the top, even though it's super cringy sometimes and it's kind of painful to watch. But I'm guessing some of that is the point, right? Is to say, you know, this is how horrible people could be. This is how awful it could be. Obviously, most people don't take it to this extent, but this is where we could be if people took it to the extent. Oh, and then by the way, let's throw some aliens in there.
Yeah.
I'm still not sure that I'm sold on the whole alien story arc. What do you think?
I think it's going to explain itself soon. It's going to start explaining itself soon.
Well, it's going to have to, because they had a big kind of moment in this last episode, so
I think we're just leading up to the explanation, which that's what should
which
have
is what
happened.
it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
You're supposed to get this story that kind of leads you into this bigger thing, and it looks like we're gonna have a big moment between he and his dad. Again, I don't want to spoil too much, but he and his dad have a lot of problems that you see throughout this show, and you get to see flashbacks from his childhood, from all the things that, and his dad just like is truly horrible to him, and bless his heart, this is just the typical battered kid kind of behavior. Is time after time after time he comes to his dad for like that love and that affirmation, and his dad kicks him every single time.
And you just feel bad for him, and you're like, oh, that's sad.
Yeah, it breaks your heart.
Tons of cringy moments, because he just like breaks him down and just like tells him how worthless he is.
And do you think that it has like a bigger, to me anyways, and maybe to you, that's what I want to know, to me it has a bigger impact because John Cena is a big man?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it seems like he
and
take
talk
anything.
about acting, because you see his heart break when he talks to him like that.
That's really where I've been even more impressed
And
with
then
him.
and then he just like, well, okay. He kind of like shrugs it off, and you're just like, you're like feeling for him.
And you see this giant man shrink,
Mm-hmm.
right? You see him become less of who he could become. He shrinks down into himself.
Yeah, he like shrinks, and it makes him look like a little child.
And he gets
So
kicked over
good.
and over, and he's still like, it's okay, Dad, I love you. I
Mhm.
really still need your affirmation. I really still think you're very cool. Look at me, pay attention to me, look what I did. Over and over. It's heartbreaking. Like, it really makes me want, there are a few times in there that it kind of makes you want to cry, because it's pretty rough. And that's interesting because you're kind of seeing like a parallel between his story and the girl, and I wish I remembered her name, because she's Amanda Waller's daughter, right? And so, but she,
Danielle Brooks.
what's her name?
Danielle Brooks.
Danielle Brooks.
That's the
Character name.
No.
That's the actress's name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Leola.
So she's got, again, a harsh parent,
Mm-hmm.
right? And she's soft and kind of sweet and kind of kind. And so she has this harsh parent who's pushing her and pushing her and pushing her to do all these things and become part of this organization and to do this awful stuff for her. And she doesn't want to. And you'll see her, because in her scenes, she's like, nope, that's not who I am. Yes, but my mom. You can see that struggle within her, and she finally does the things that her mom wants her to do, and that's making her shrink
Right.
as a person. And so you're getting to see these parallels of these two characters that have these horrible kind of overbearing parents that are taking what could have been like this big, kind, sweet, loving girl, who could help the United States out or the world or whatever, and then this big guy who's got a big heart also, who's like a big guy and he could take all this stuff down, and they've both shrunk down into these unsure human beings,
Right.
that are making bad choices, not because they believe those are the right choices, but because the voice of their parents are in their head,
Mm-hmm.
telling them, if you don't make these choices that I want you to make, I'm not going to love you anymore. So if people are paying attention to this story, it's pretty deep as far as that goes. And if you're watching those kind of parallels between them,
It really does go above and beyond just comedy. It your emotions range in there, so it's a good one. It's under the guise of comedy. There's still a lot of comedy in
it's
there.
a dramedy, I guess. It's a
Yeah.
drama comedy.
I mean, no doubt about it. It's comedy.
Funny.
It's super funny.
Cracks me up. I mean, whoever writes for this is just doing a brilliant job.
Really good.
Brilliant job. But there's just, if you're paying attention, it's like Donkey and Shrek say, it's like an onion. It's got layers, right? I have feelings. I have layers, and that's why, without spoiling too much, you're going to find out that, what's Danielle's character name again?
What, Daniela?
The Waller's daughter.
Her name is Leola.
Leola. Okay. So they all kind of come together. They have a friendship, co-worker kind of friendship. They have a big moment kind of together. They go through a big ordeal. And so they have that moment, right? It's a tropey thing that happens. And because Peacemaker has had all of this kicking from his dad, he has this kind of family moment with them. And so you're like, oh, good. Like, he's going to have somebody who loves him, right? And is, like, going to be on his side. And then Leona has to do what her mother says. Leola, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And so she pretty much stabs him in the back. And as of yet, he doesn't know it was her.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering too what that story arc is going to be, because that's another kind of tropey story arc, though, is right. Who you thought was your friend really has stabbed you in the back, and then you find out that they stabbed you in the back, and then so what is then you're hurt even more, and you go off and make bad choices and get your butt kicked or whatever, and then your friends got to come, and then you find out if you work together. I get it. Like, that's very tropey, and like I've watched enough shows to know that that's probably what's happening. Because we do see in the last show that she does admit to her wife that she's feeling bad about what she did.
Right.
Because she felt bad when she was doing it, and she knew she shouldn't, and she did it, and then she took it back, and then she did it, and then she took it back, and then she did it, and then she took it back, and then she did it, and she was like, that's it, I've done it. So she knew better, right? And she knew what it was going to cause. And so now that she's just beginning to see the effects of what it's caused, and I'm sure it's going to snowball because we just started to see the beginning of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's going to have to tell him, know, because if she doesn't, then that's the other thing that can happen that's very tropey in these shows. If she tells him, maybe they can rebound a little bit faster. If she doesn't tell him and he figures it out or finds out from somebody else, like, let's say he finds out from Amanda Waller.
And he just likes to blow holes in people with his Desert Eagle.
Well, he's trying not to do it to humans anymore. Aliens, yes. Humans, no. But I think the lines are going to start to get really blurred here really soon.
Well, they're already blurred big time.
And so I'll be curious to see what kind of killing spree he goes on. And then where Vigilante goes with him, because Vigilante is just so excited for a killing spree. He's just all about it. All I have to say to everybody who's still watching, who's already watched Peacemaker, is the chainsaw. I mean, come on. Diebeard and the chainsaw. One of the most epic, and you totally saw it coming. You saw it coming from the moment Vigilante had it. You saw it coming. And then Vigilante's another one that you feel sorry for because he's that kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's that kid that nobody liked at school.
He wants to be accepted.
He wants to be accepted. He's so derpy. He follows Peacemaker around, swearing loyalty, calling him his best friend. He's that kid. He's like, aside from Kick-Ass, he's kind of like Ralph from The Simpsons, where he's like, I choose you, Lisa, and then she's like nice to him, and then he won't go away. So and Peacemaker's not even being nice to him, but the kid still takes it as
Adam
like.
says they went Scarface with the chainsaw.
The chainsaw was so awesome.
Yeah. Angel says, yeah, Vigilante was so upset about it.
Poor Vigilante. Yeah. And everything, and bless his heart, every time he tries to do something for Peacemaker, he ends up messing it up. He wants so badly. And so that's another thing. I personally feel that pain. I'm like, could you be my friend? I want you to be my friend. Oh God, I did something really stupid and now you hate me. And everybody in this show is just so awkward. So if you're socially awkward at all, it's a perfect show for you because you feel like you would fit in, right? You could just go hang out with all of them and you could just be socially awkward with all of the rest of them. And maybe hug eagles, it's kind of a thing. That's one of my favorite parts.
And then you think you're going to see it again, and then you don't see it again.
I know, I keep waiting for the eagle to hug him again because he's needed some eagle hugs.
Yeah.
Big time, he's needed some eagle hugs. And it hasn't happened yet. So I'm definitely waiting for the big epic fight with his dad. I think that's going to be a really good one to remember. And then I'm hoping they're going to show us some of the other characters from the Suicide Squad movie, so that maybe we can get even more offshoots and have some more of these shows like that, or have something that's maybe some
because
kind
I
of
hear there's already talks on a season 2,
Uh-huh.
and there's also talks about a spin-off.
Really?
Not necessarily a spin-off, but a spin-off of another character from Suicide Squad.
Oh, okay. Because I could see if I could see this kind of being like a Doom Patrol type thing too, where I could see like all the Suicide Squad, because we watch Doom Patrol too, because hello, talk about awkward and funny and inappropriate. Well, there's a theme of what we like to watch apparently. So, but I could see like several of them getting together and doing some kind of awkward Doom Patrol thing where it's like, okay, well, our maker kind of, who's Waller basically, brought us all together, and yes, we hate her, but we should really go on these adventures together and like do these things and write these things.
At some point, we need to see more crossovers.
Yeah.
Like, do we see a crossover with Doom Patrol? Do we see a crossover with anything else? Because apparently Flash is in the world.
Well, and then what about Batman? Because we hear in this last episode, we hear Leola and her wife says, maybe we should just go back to Gotham. So when she said that, I thought, oh, did they sneak that in there so that we can get some Batman moments?
Or
Batwoman moments. Excuse me. Can we get the Joker, the Riddler, the Penguin? All the things that we know from Gotham. Can we have those moments? So I'm sure that's why they snuck that in there, so that they can leave that open, so that if this continues, we can see those connections and we can see those moments. So...
Titans too.
Yeah, because Titans is on HBO Max, so they could do that. Because I was thinking of like the Superman and Lois that we're watching, and the Flash and stuff, but those are CW. They're not really HBO Max, so they're kind of
But still DC.
I don't know who owns what. I know, but it's weird when people own stuff, and can this actor come out to play or whatever, and we don't want to share our toys and stuff. So,
but they had. The movie Flash in one of the crossovers on the CW.
Yes.
The two Flashes were talking to each other.
The two Flashes were talking to each other, so that was good. It was like a spider.
And apparently we're supposed to get that again in the Flash movie.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I don't...
Grant Gustin should be in that.
I was going to say, I don't mind this kid that they put in the movies, but there's something about Grant Gustin being the Flash for me that it's hard for somebody else to be the Flash for me. I struggle with it. Sorry, but we derailed from Peacemaker. So
yeah, a little bit.
Because there's so many ways you can go with Peacemaker, right? There's a large number of, and which we see Disney doing for us, right? Once we've seen Clone Wars, and once we've seen The Mandalorian, and once we've seen Boba Fett, and once we've seen The Bad Batch, right? We can see all of this coming together. So if DC's smart and they jump on this bandwagon, and then I had heard that cute little boy who played Professor X, that he was going to come back and play him maybe in a show. So maybe Marvel's going to start doing this for us too, because we've got Hawkeye already, and we've got Daredevil, and so
because apparently he's bald again.
Yeah. So we'll see.
What's his McAvoy? I think his name is.
I'm telling you, I'm terrible about these actors' names. This is why I don't pay $150 at a convention to go get somebody's autograph, because I don't even really know what their names are. And the couple of celebrities that I've met have turned out to be really jerks. So I'm not interested in meeting any of these fools or knowing their names. Uh-oh. Oh, it says excellent connection, but now it's like buffering on my side. Well, that's okay, because we're almost to the end.
Yeah.
So I was gonna wave you down. I don't know how to do the producer thing. So
I got
hey
it.
Vince, it's almost time to end. Start wrapping it up. Because Vincent and I will talk forever.
Yeah.
Oh, well, me.
So it was a lot of fun. I love watching. If you haven't seen it, it's definitely a watch. I definitely love it. Definitely check it out.
Hilarious. You will crack up. You will
John
cry.
Cena is the best in this.
He's so hilarious. It's ridiculous. And he breaks your heart.
Like you hate him in Suicide Squad. You love him in this show.
You hate him sometimes in this show, too. There's a few times where you're like, oh my God, did he just say that? Somebody throw him off a cliff.
But thanks for checking us out. I really appreciate that. If you haven't clicked on the subscribe button, please click on that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. Next time we go live, you'll know. But thanks for checking us out. I'm Vince.
I'm Colleen, and I'm the producer.
Geek
Out
Out
SA.
SA.